All right, Clanton. You called down the thunder, well, now you got it. You see that? It says United States Marshal.
What? Please don't kill me. Please.
Take a good look at him, Ike, because that's how you're going to end up. The Cowboys are finished, you understand me? I see a red sash, I kill a man wearing it. So run, you cur. Run! Tell all the other curs the law's coming. You tell them I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear? Hell's coming with me!
Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting episode of Citizen Frame. We do have the Bone Collector coming out really soon here. Much recorded and ready to go. We just need to, unfortunately, and fortunately, we need to talk about Tombstone. Now, the reason we're talking Tombstone today is we were going to get to it. We've talked about it in the past. But obviously, this will be a good day to do that just because of the sad passing of an actor I grew up watching and always enjoyed his work, and that is Val Kilmer. I watched Val Kilmer when he started doing comedies like Real Genius and the very funny Top Secret. Please see Top Secret. It's funny as fuck. And he, obviously, his big break was Iceman as Top Gun, which he didn't want to do originally because he thought the characters were kind of very one-sided. But luckily he did that, and we get movies like Willow. Not a big fan of it, but it did catapult him to a quick success. A success that kind of faded in the mid-'90s after Batman.
Yeah, but he did the same as well.
Yeah, well, let me get through this here. He did a couple of really great films. That he did The Doors. He was very good in it, but the film was terrible. Poorly directed by Oliver Stone. And then he did a movie called Thunderheart, which I think people need to see. I've mentioned it a couple times on this podcast. It is a great film. And then he went on to do Batman, which, nothing against him, I think just Joel Schumacher destroyed those two films. And this is where, unfortunately, rumor has it, he was kind of an eagle on the set, and he burned a lot of bridges. Now, I'm not going to hear him dance on the man's grave. Of course I'm not, because I'm a big fan of Val Kilmer, but his career did fade a bit. He did a movie, Heat, which was fucking awesome.
Brilliant film.
But then he went independent. The big studios walked away, and he went smaller budgets. But I'm going to tell you guys right now, he's done 3 films that are under the radar that nobody saw that are absolutely wonderful, including David Mamet's Spartan. It is a kidnap thriller, great whodunit. Kirsten Bell's first film. It is really, really good. He also did, God, I'm going to butcher. He did Wonderland about the porn star murder that happened. I think the porn star was Holmes.
Yes,
somebody.
John Holmes, maybe, was it?
John Holmes, I think it was.
Maybe.
I think of his murder. But it's another great film. He did The Salton Sea. Now, you guys want to see some ugly characters in the film? Check out The Salton Sea. It's almost like a non-comedic version of True Romance.
Right. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's why I bring those 3 up to talk Val Kilmer. And then he did a lot of, B stuff or direct-to-video stuff. But those are the ones I want people to see. I want them to see Thunderheart as well. Films that they didn't know he was in that never got any fair play.
What about?
He will be missed because he's done some fun stuff and iconic characters.
I've always really liked him. Yeah.
Yeah, and even despite Batman being terrible, he did his part. It wasn't necessarily his fault. He was there to do what he was told. Joel Schumacher destroyed the franchise. Nobody else did.
I think he's actually decent in that Batman Forever film. I would have to watch it again, to be honest with you. And I remember I was 18 when it came out. I remember seeing it in the cinema and thinking that it was okay, but not as good as the previous 2 Burton ones. Val Kilmer, I think one of the problems I think with Val Kilmer's Batman is that he wasn't Michael Keaton. And, after everyone was so used and liking Michael Keaton's Batman so much. But I mean, I've always liked Kilmer, and especially in things like Heat. Do you remember he was in The Island of Dr. Moreau? Apparently that was another production.
Yeah, well, him and Marlon Brando did not get along.
Well, apparently, see what you were saying, apparently, with the being difficult to work with, sort of reputation and stuff. Apparently that was a thing, but I've also read a lot of reports that with fans, he was the complete opposite and really down to earth and a great guy. But yes, there were reports as well of, issues on sets of films and stuff and being difficult. But apparently he was great with the fans. I've always liked him.
Yeah, I mean, he seems like a pretty down-to-earth guy.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I don't want to disrespect him by any means by saying that, but that's the only reason I brought that up was because his career did the nosedive.
Yeah.
Going more independent route, and maybe actually probably more humbled him as a person. I believe he even says that in his book.
Well, you mentioned True Romance as well. I would just like to jump in there. He's also in that as Elvis.
Well, that's right.
I
forgot about that. He's Elvis. He's the alter ego.
Yeah, that's right. Mentor, I think the character's credited as, but it's basically Val Kilmer as Elvis.
But yeah, another sad loss. Him and Gene Hackman.
Yeah,
and Sully will be missed. But we got all those great films to watch to always revisit. Our boy Val Kilmer. Rest in peace, pal.
Yeah, indeed.
On that note, we're here to talk Tombstone. I'm here, Huckleberry.
Yep.
Yeah. I saw this movie in 1993. Fucking amazing film. I love this film. This is the guy's Western. This brought back the old outlaw Josie Wales and the Wild Bunch and the Magnificent Seven. This is what this film is.
Well, it's very much a sort of callback to the sort of the classic Western era of maybe, likes of, Ford and stuff and, even, John Wayne and stuff and those types of Westerns, right back to the 30s, 40s, 50s, even into the 60s and stuff. So, yeah, it's very much a sort of tip of the hat to that era, I think, anyway, for me.
Yeah, it is, though. Of course it is, especially when you get Robert Mitchum narrating and Charlton Heston cameoing.
Yes, exactly.
So that's definitely there, that's for sure. But most importantly, so let's talk about the director here. Now, we'll first talk about Kevin Jarre. Kevin Jarre wrote this, very popular in the time, taken too young, sadly.
Yes.
But he did Rambo 2, Devil's Own, the Mummy trilogy, great film called Glory back in
I remember Glory,
80s.
yeah. World War II film, isn't it?
No, Civil War.
Civil War, that's right, yes.
I believe that's where Denzel got his Best Supporting Actor Oscar.
I don't know.
Morgan Freeman. I think it was Denzel who got his first Oscar. But he was going to direct, and he was directing, but he was fired about a month into it. So what happens in Hollywood is you have to have a director on board. It's part of probably union stuff and yada, yada, yada.
Yes, so yeah.
So Kurt Russell essentially directed the film. He ghost directed, they called it. But George P. Cosmatos came on set to help because he's the experienced director to help take the helm. So, and Kurt Russell, kudos to him, didn't want the director credit. So they gave it to George P. Cosmatos. Now, again, George P. Cosmatos taken too soon as well. But this isn't like a Tobe Hooper, Steven Spielberg thing. This is more of George P. Cosmatos did come on, I would say probably to assistant direct to help Kurt Russell go through the scenes and how to shoot them.
Yeah, more of it from a technical side, I think. Apparently,
exactly.
Apparently, Kurt Russell also heavily rewrote the script as well, uncredited.
Yeah, no one knew about this until DVD extras came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the making of all these stuff come out with Blu-ray and so forth. So they all kept it hush hush, which I kind of like. I do like the fact there's no egos here. And George P. Cosmatos is a wonderful director. I love his stuff. I like Rambo 2. I like Cobra as batshit crazy as it was. And I'm a big fan of Leviathan. So they all did their part. Okay? They all did their part. And so there's the story about what went wrong in the back and what happened in the back scenes.
Apparently, the
great thing is too with what was that?
Apparently, there were issues between Kurt Russell. This is what I've read, by the way. Obviously, I wasn't there, but apparently there were issues between Kurt Russell and Michael Rooker. And with the way Kurt Russell was basically, obviously the start of it, acting in the scenes, he apparently was taking too much time over certain scenes. I think it's a scene where they're in Charlton Heston's character's house. And apparently, according to reports, Rooker cracked and sort of went off on one at Kurt Russell. And then because of that, you know the way films are for the most part filmed out of sequence. This was one of the earliest scenes that they filmed. But because of this, then Michael Rooker's role in the script and obviously the finished film was actually reduced heavily by Kurt Russell because the two of them basically had a falling out over Rooker losing it with Russell. I don't know. Again, like I say, it's just what I've read up on.
It could be because he doesn't have a huge part. You see a couple. We'll talk about his character Sherman,
Yeah,
in a while, but
well,
his death happens right at.
Apparently, the original script was more of an epic, where it was more, about the Clanton gang, and it was more sort of essentially saying that these are just two groups of men who there was no real sort of out and out bad guys or good guys. Were actually drawing similarities to them. But Russell then, whenever he rewrote the script, had it more on the Earps, essentially, more focus.
I could have gone either way with that.
Yeah.
I too bad they couldn't remove the romance and give us more of the cowboys then. I would have liked to have seen that.
Yeah.
But the one thing this film gets right, we see all these films based on true story.
Yes.
And they take very little of the truth. But this one actually, believe it or not, carries a lot of truth to it. Now, what happens is that you have these guys called the Cowboys. And everyone thinks, the Cowboys are good guys. They're not.
Yes.
Back then, in the 1870s, 1880s, you had this gang called the Cowboy Gang. They wore red sashes, portrayed as villains in the movie, obviously in Tombstone. They are a real-life outlaw group based in the Arizona Territory.
It was basically...
And Wyatt Earp, let me finish, please. Wyatt Earp and Doc did go after these guys.
Yes.
This part is all true. And the OK Corral was part of that. Now, we'll be introduced to a lot of characters that weren't really part of that gang, but they'll be implemented in here just as part of history. They stick true. Everyone thinks Wyatt Earp was this big gunman. He wasn't. He killed only one man in his before, obviously, this showdown went down in real life. He killed one man, and he regrets it. There's actually a conversation we'll talk about he has with Morgan about it. And so Wyatt Earp wasn't this gun-toting killer. He was a great gunsman, but he wasn't a killer.
Well, partly he was also a bit of a sort of wild man as well, let's just say. And
probably in his youth.
Yeah, in terms of like a bit of a ladies' man and stuff like that, heavy drinker, gambler, all that sort of thing. But you know what? It was the Wild West. What do you expect? But I do know
it was the Wild West, man.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
the 1880s, man. That's the way they're known. But no, essentially, apparently, see, Wyatt Earp himself lived till he was till I think he was into his 80s. It was like 1929 when he died. But apparently, a lot of the legend surrounding him was actually caused by him. It was basically down to himself and self-promotion. So it was, again, obviously, I don't know, but, who knows. But yes, generally, this film, Tombstone, does, although there is a bit of playing with history, you're always going to get that. But generally, it does stick to the story.
It does, including our boy Ringo.
Yes, Johnny
Now,
Ringo.
we know Ringo played wonderfully. I think next to Hicks.
Yeah.
His best performance. And I have to say, he plays Johnny Ringo. Now, Johnny Ringo is a character. He was part of the Cowboy Gang. He was found with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. They said it was a suicide.
Yeah.
But a lot of people think it was Doc and Wyatt Earp who took him down, which I think that's badass.
Well, and this here, it's obviously Doc that takes him down. But yes, there's definitely a bit of confusion surrounding his real life death. And from what I've read, it appears to be suicide.
But exactly. But the cool thing is, at least they play on that because he does have a gunshot wound to his head at the end of this.
Yeah.
And they do come clean to what's fake and what's not. But most of the names in this that we're going to talk about are true. We won't go through them all. We kind of just we just daily dumped on all of you. Now we're just going to go ahead and talk about the film itself.
Exactly. And it is there for entertainment. It's not a documentary. It's, you know what I mean? So, people shouldn't, I don't think, get too fixated on historical accuracy of Hollywood films. They're never going to be, documentaries. They're not meant to be. They're meant to be entertainment first and foremost.
Yeah, but you know what? To piggyback on that, I think films like this need to be done because look at me. I would have known any of that information about Johnny Ringo or the Clans, any of those, unless the movie interested me enough to go look into it.
Just to back that up even further, when I was a kid, I went through a phase where I absolutely loved the Young Guns films. And because of the Young Guns films, I developed a serious interest into the real life case of the Lincoln County War and, Billy the Kid and all the rest of it, John Tunstall and, all that sort of thing. So yes, it does sort of, as long as you're watching them knowing that they're playing about with history, you can then go off your own bat and look into the real life cases and the real history. So yes, I've done that, and I do that,
So what the film does really quickly and does it right is the introduction to the goodies and the baddies. Now we meet the cowboy gang during a Mexican wedding. It's actually quite a brutal scene.
Yeah.
Especially when Ringo kills the priest.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows how how the camera pans and we're going to meet all these bad guys and how we meet Curly Bill and how he's just kind of the leader, but he's kind of a goof off and really has no morals. Then you got Ringo, who's just fucking a sociopath.
Yeah.
Then you meet, what was...
The Michael Rooker character.
Michael Rooker character, I got it down. I don't have it in front of me. I do, Sherman.
Yes.
He plays Sherman, and he looks away in disgust.
Yeah.
So you already planted the seed of kind of what might be foreshadowing what might happen to some of these characters.
Well, it also reminded me a bit of the opening to Once Upon a Time in the West, and this is a different type of, in terms of tone, a different type of sort of Western. Well, I mean, there are obviously similarities, not just that it's set in the West, but similar to in terms of, setting up the bad guys in Once Upon a Time in the West, Henry Fonda, So, yes, it works setting them up as bastards here in Tombstone.
Exactly. And then we flip it, and we see Wyatt Earp and Maddie coming off the train.
That's a bit cringe, actually, that scene.
What is that?
The scene when they get off the train and they're standing in front of the window.
I hate that scene.
Pure cringe.
Now, listen, we have to take it. Okay, guys? First of all, I say at the beginning, I fucking love this film, and I do love it. But Maddie annoyed the fuck out of me.
Yes.
And gotta admit, Wyatt Earp wasn't the best husband. And
apparently he was even worse in real life, but who knows?
Yeah, well, and it just... The whole love scene we're gonna get with Josephine is cringeworthy. It's just we'll glance over that, okay?
Yeah,
because the film is 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that, and I enjoy myself watching. But the horseback riding with Josephine, I wanted to hang myself.
Yeah, it's cringe. It's daytime soap opera nonsense. Yeah,
I wanted to do a Johnny Ringo.
Yeah, it actually reminded me of Back to the Future 3 with the Doc and Clara, and that's cringe as well. Yeah, but it gets away with it a bit more.
Here's the problem: the women should have been put aside, and women listening to us, I apologize, but I think you'll get what I'm saying.
Well, it's just it's the way
you could have had them.
You could have had them.
You could have had a certain scene here and there. You could have a nice little scene of him and Josephine meeting up for the first time and love at first sight. That's fine. But they really drag it out. I'm literally, there's a scene, I think, where she's glowing and fucking Wyatt Earp goes, "Oh, hell.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Like my love is in my view. Oh, no." And I was like, oh, Jesus.
And apparently there was also a further scene that they actually did cut where it's basically a sex scene between the two of them, whatever, after they're, I don't know, having a picnic or something, after they're out, doing the horse riding.
Fucking hate that whole scene.
Yeah. It's pure crazy. Maybe you could have, they could have focused more on his actual wife's drug addiction and had that more focused on and the trauma that brought the two of them. And
exactly.
And something more heavy and serious. But please don't give me fucking Sunset Beach bollocks, with the fucking this romantic subplot, which is just it's just
especially.
strange.
And here's the problem, and this could be Kurt Russell's direction part,
possibly
not George P. Cosmatos.
Yeah,
is well, we'll dive into it. It's when they add the women after a big gunfight. It's like, oh, come on, we just had a cool gunfight. Now these two idiots are coming on the picture, and then you're like looking at each other. Why are you here? I'm here to protect your husband. I'm here to be with my husband. And they look at each other and they run away. They're like, oh fuck.
It's basically the delivery of it and the realization of it is, like I say, it's straight out of some cheesy melodrama. So it is,
Yeah, this could have been Kevin Jarre's mistake. I don't know who directed this part, but this is not done by George P. Cosmatos. I guarantee you he was there to do the action.
Yeah, I think he was there more from a technical side of things.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, so we're introduced to them. They want a new life. That's fine. I get it. That's cool. We'll go with it. Then we're introduced to Doc and Kate. I like this. I do like this relationship.
Yes,
I do
so
like
does
the
Gray.
fact Kate's using. Yeah, and Kate's using him. There's a scene you will talk about, and it's kind of sad to see the way Doc was treated by her.
Mhm.
I don't know their whole story. Rumor has it this is true, but I can't speak.
Well,
for,
I think with the real life Doc Holliday being an alcoholic and also quite a sort of big name as well, he would, I mean, guys like that, yes, he would have been, very fast with the guns and stuff, and he became a sort of Wild West celebrity. But with his alcoholism and all, into the mix of gambling, addiction and stuff, he's the sort of person would have had all sorts of people trying to manipulate and jump on the bandwagon. So in real life, this is probably true. And it was probably worse, actually,
most likely.
Yeah.
But I do like when he's playing cards, and it kind of shows how fast he is with the guns.
Yeah.
And the guy says, you're stealing from me. You're cheating. He goes, I don't cheat. And he ends up knifing him.
Yeah.
He says, put the guns down. He goes, come on, come after me. I'll put my guns down. You come after me. And he stabs him. I do think that's funny because that's Frank Stallone.
Yes, Sylvester's brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And yeah, you will have some of those peppered cameos.
Yes.
We'll talk about when we meet Johnny Tyler, who is the dick bully, who's the dealer, who's famously played by Billy Bob Thornton.
Unrecognizable.
And yeah, he's a little chubbier here. He took this money and went on to do, obviously, his famed role, which would be Sling Blade.
Great film.
We meet Frank White, who I really like. He's the marshal of the town. He's played by Harry Carey Jr., very popular character, a very popular actor. We got Behan. He's kind of the weasel.
Yes. Terry O'Quinn as well.
Yeah, he's the mayor.
Yeah, he's in so many westerns. It's like back at the end, if Hollywood was doing a western, it's like, yeah, get Terry O'Quinn for a supporting role. He was basically in all of them back then, Young Guns and everything. So he was. There's loads of them here, sort of cameos. But Billy Zane as the actor, the flamboyant actor,
Mr. Fabian.
Yes.
Yeah, we need to talk about Mr. Fabian and Billy with Jason Priestley. You could have wrote out these characters, but there's a reason why one of them is in it. So there's a great scene where Wyatt goes in to take over Johnny Tyler's role because Johnny Tyler's just a bully.
Yeah.
And he smacks him like 3 times, right? And he's bleeding. And he finally says, are you going to throw down? Come on, throw down, boy. And he goes, well, you're going to do something, or you're just going to stand there and bleed.
Yeah.
And it's the way he delivers the line. I'm telling you now, I don't care. Kurt Russell, if you're listening to this, probably isn't. Nobody else does.
Doubt it. I highly doubt it.
But he took, that was the way he delivered that line. Well, you're just going to do something or stand there and bleed. That was totally Snake Plissken.
Yeah. Well, a bit of Clint Eastwood maybe thrown in there as well.
No. Snake Plissken, well, Snake technically is a ripoff of Clint.
Yeah. The
man with no name. But that is him channeling Snake to Wyatt.
Yeah, well, it's setting him up as, even though he's like the reluctant tough guy, he just wants to go and make money in Tombstone, but yet if pushed, he'll take no shit from the bad guys and the scumbags,
We talk about the relationships with this as we're meeting. This whole thing is as we're meeting the entire town folk, and it's really good at doing that, whether you like the scenes or not. We remember Johnny, we remember Billy and Mr. Fabian. He comes in the picture when they go to that play.
Yes.
And then you've got Billy, played by Jason Priestley, which is nice to see. He was an up-and-comer from that whole 90210 thing.
Yeah.
Good on him. But his character was kind of pointless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he hangs out for cowboys. He's the reserved, educated one. And I remember Curly turns to him. There's too many Billies in this movie. Because this Curly Bill turns to Billy and goes, what do you think? He goes, I think he's wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now we got, the homosexual tones, which is fine. Go with it. I don't care. But then we got on top of the whole Josephine romance and the whole Maddie thing.
Too compressed.
It's too much.
With all of this in
much.
here. But apparently, again, going back to the original script, that this was supposed to be like a 3-hour epic with a lot more focus on the other townsfolk with them much more fleshed out. So here, because it's like 2 hours, 10 minutes or whatever, it does feel a bit too compressed and rushed.
That's where they could have cut it.
Yeah.
Then you cut him out.
Yes.
Billy Zane should not have been in this.
Yeah, it's pointless. Yeah.
Billy should not have been in this.
It does feel as if he's recorded a lot more scenes, filmed a lot more scenes, but they have been chopped. What we'll get here then is just basically a cameo.
The piggyback on the romance things, the whole Maddie Blaylock thing. Now, he was his wife in real, but he abandoned her.
Yes.
And left her. He leaves her. I mean, she ends up, rumor has it, opium poisoning. She commits suicide because of it. Now, the way the film plays is that she was just addicted.
Yes, the opiates. Yeah.
But if you see some of the information, like first when she asked him, "Why don't you stay with me tonight? Don't go to the casino."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Well, I got to make money." And they, "Well, I guess I could stay." It's like he never really had her back.
Well, apparently this is. I think it's toned down a quite bit here, but apparently in real life, he was pretty much a bastard, especially to her. And I haven't seen the Kevin Costner Wyatt Earp film, but apparently it is more. It gets into this more, and it's a bit more warts and all.
Well, yeah, it's almost 4 hours long, and Dennis Quaid does a really nice job playing Doc.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
But the problem with what you're thinking of, it's just called Wyatt Earp.
Yeah,
that's what the problem. It's real.
Yes.
And so you're like, oh my God.
It's a bit too gritty.
When's this
for entertainment purpose?
Good? Yeah. So it's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
Yeah.
We would like to see some of it, but then we'll be like, oh my God. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it depends.
I actually do think Tombstone is a happy medium.
Yeah. It depends essentially what you're looking. Are you looking pure gritty realism, or are you looking just entertainment? So yes, maybe the reason Tombstone has been more successful than the Costner one is probably due to it being a bit more toned down with the realism and being a bit more sort of Hollywood entertaining, if you know what I mean.
Oh, exactly. Like the scene,
a bit more mainstream.
Of the scene,
yeah, and accessible.
It's the best. Yeah, we come up with a scene, which is probably made up, but it's the best. I think one of the best scenes. The best scenes in the film are really the conversation between Doc and Ringo.
Anytime Doc's on the screen, I would say
when they first meet, and it's Johnny Ringo.
Yeah,
and they're just having great banter, speaking in Latin.
Yes,
and Ringo goes, "You must be Doc Holliday. I heard you retired too." And he says, "Retired? I'm just in my prime."
Yeah,
and it's just the way they're educated men, clearly, and I just love the fact that Michael Biehn says he learned that whole gun thing that he does, the whole moving the gun, flipping the guns.
For it.
That was him. No editing. He says it took him forever to learn that.
Yeah,
and then obviously the Doc does it with the shot glass.
Takes the piss out of him.
Just great banter.
Yeah,
just
I would say
two smart guys on opposite end of the spectrum.
For me, the best parts of this film, Michael Biehn's great in this, but for me, the best parts of this film are anytime Val Kilmer's on the screen as Doc. I think he just totally steals the show. He's fantastic.
This is where direction is key, because when you are having this good banter between Ringo and Doc, there's tension there. And that's shown by when the camera pans down and we see Wyatt with the gun underneath the table, and he's cocking it because he's getting ready for a showdown. Obviously, it doesn't come to that, but it's a well orchestrated scene that give us tension and some good banter at the same time.
And brilliantly acted by mainly Kilmer and Michael Biehn,
and then quickly ruined by a fucking horseback riding scene.
Oh dear! Jesus. Oh yeah. I mean,
we'll skip it.
Yeah. It's just
we'll skip it.
Yeah, please do. Let's just say it's like
I do love they have this fucking whole scene of them. Let's go horseback riding, Wyatt. Yeehaw! Right? And then they have a picnic. And then we cut to there's Maddie drinking her life away.
Yeah. I mean, I'm no prude, but let's just say thank fuck they cut the fucking love scene that apparently was in there, and apparently you see part of it in the trailer, because it's just cringe. You know what I mean? It is like watching some sort of ropey soap opera. Even the dialogue and the shit that they're saying to each other, you know what I mean? It is straight out of, I don't know, Dynasty or Knots Landing or something, you know? Dear.
God, it was. And then he starts talking to her, let's move away. Let's get out of here. Well, you just got done bumming fucking Josephine. Now you want to move away with your drunken wife?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Come on, Wyatt.
Yeah. And you know, you got to feel for the wife. You know what I mean? She was, you know.
That's what I'm saying. I think Wyatt's kind of a dick here.
No, he is a dick. He's not kind of a dick.
He actually is
he
a dick.
He's a selfish dick. Yeah.
And until he gets sworn in, get revenge, that's where he's kind of unlikable. It takes the second act for him to, okay, finally we get Snake Plissken back.
Well, this is, yeah, exactly. You know, it's romanticized Snake Plissken, you know, as a sheriff. So it is, and that's okay. That's fine for, you know, entertainment's sake. You know, no problem. But yes, you know, to be fair, at least it didn't sort of, you know, brush over it completely, you know, and have him as a sort of, you know, like an all-American sort of hero of the West. At least they do put it in, but it's just the way it's done with the, you know, romance with Josephine. It's just, and she's cringe, and you know, the very final scene. Obviously, I'm jumping ahead, but we can skip it as well if you can. You know,
yeah, we'll talk about the
Christmas.
Dancing in the streets, music video.
Oh dear! I wanted fucking Johnny Ringo to fucking blow my brains out whenever that was happening.
But I do like the scene where, again, we go, like I said, we get back to the darker stuff when the poor sheriff gets it by Curly by accident. Curly didn't mean to do it, but he was just high on opium, whatever.
Yeah, he was in the opium den. Yeah,
and that's a whole good scene. And of course, you got Ike, that fucking pussy. Who runs away from everything.
He's great in this.
I do. Stephen Lang's very funny in it, and I do like when he goes, "He ain't gonna shoot us," and Wyatt pulls a gun to him. He goes, "Your friends might get to me, but not before I turn your head into a goddamn canoe."
Yeah,
yeah. And then Ike's like, "Okay, guys, back down."
Yeah,
back down.
But Stephen Lang is actually really good here as Ike, and you know he's I would say he'd be, you know. Kurt Russell is very solid as the lead, and he leads well. But for me, the most memorable ones would be obviously Val Kilmer as Doc, but also Stephen Lang as Ike, and of course Michael Biehn as, you know, Johnny Ringo. Pars Booze is very good as well.
They're all good.
Yeah.
There's not a character in it I don't kind of enjoy watching besides the overdone of the women.
Yeah.
No, it's not like a sexist pig.
No.
If you listen to the podcast, if you listen to the podcast, you know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah. Well, if you've seen the film, it's a realization of the women here, and it's just cringe. You know what I mean? And that's not even us being either sexist or even like super woke. You know. It's just it's straight out of some really ropey, cheesy, melodramatic daytime soap opera. I know I've said that a few times, but it is.
Yeah. Let's move on from it now. Yeah. But we haven't talked about Sam Elliott, the actor you hate, you said.
When did I say that?
Paxton,
shit.
Back in Roadhouse. You said, I don't get the popularity of Sam Elliott. Fuck off. This is why we like Sam Elliott.
But
you said he's a piece of shit, and he was horrible at what he did.
No, but I mean, he's not a real cowboy. Obviously, he's an actor who plays cowboy.
Yeah, and he is a scene stealer here. There's a great shot where the mayor, Terry O'Quinn, comes in and he goes, "Guys, we need your help here. We need some justice." And the mayor asks Virgil, you want to come back? And he goes, "No, I'm good." And Wyatt's like, "Yeah, we're not coming back." He's kind of being a dick still, Wyatt, after all this is going down. And the next scene, you see Virgil by himself, and the little kid almost gets run over by a horse, and he sees the mother of the child that has a scar on her face.
Yeah.
He just says, "Enough's enough." So he walks in, and Wyatt realizes that Virgil has become the sheriff.
Along with Bill Paxton.
He goes, "No more guns in this town." And then Wyatt turns to Morgan and goes, "Morgan, can you believe this crap?" And Morgan shows him his badge. He's like, "Oh, no, fuck."
Yeah. Yeah, I think actually Bill Paxton isn't very good here. Well, it's not that he's not good. He's all right. He's decent, but he's one of the least memorable throughout the whole film. He's a bit of a...
Well, But that's the whole point. That's what I was trying to get at. You got Virgil, who's badass. We all know that because he's Sam Elliott. You got Wyatt, who's the one who's kind of, he thinks he's the rule of the roost.
Yeah.
Then you got Morgan, though, who's the baby brother.
Yeah.
So he's going to be naive and a little more like the scene where he does become a sheriff with his brother. Wyatt makes a great speech going, I killed a man once. This is where you find out that Wyatt only killed one man before this all went down, which is true. And he says, but he goes, it's going to fester in your brain. You take a life. Do you know what that's like? You don't, Morgan, because you haven't taken a life. But my God, you don't want it, blah, blah. And then he looks at him and he says, boy, I haven't even made a dent in you. It's a great line. It's a great scene where Kurt is trying to tell him, don't do this. But it also kind of explains why Earp doesn't want Morgan to do this, because he doesn't want to see him dead or kill.
Yeah, but it also with Wyatt sort of helps explain a bit more his reluctance to become the sheriff, because, he just wants to make money and enjoy himself, especially with the women, never mind his wife, but it also states his sort of guilt and remorse of taking a life. Again, harking back to Unforgiven and, Clint Eastwood and the kids' characters in that. But yeah, it also, helps you understand why he doesn't want to be the sheriff. It's one of the reasons, Then
we get the gunfight.
Yes, at the OK Corral.
Yeah, six cowboys show up. Trevor also shows up. Fuck, swear me in. Got really no choice at this point. Again, some really good dialogue here where he says, you really want to start this? You really willing to take somebody down because of a fucking misdemeanor? That's what he's saying, because all they're doing is carrying guns. They're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
And Virgil looks at him. You're damn right they're doing something wrong. They're breaking the law.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that line, the way he delivers it, Sam. Pretty much a Sam being Sam, but God, he sells it. And this is where we get the famous gunfight.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say, once again, Val Kilmer, outstanding, in this the gunfight at the OK Corral, and that particular part of it where he winks is just fantastic. And apparently that was improvised by Kilmer.
Yeah, but I have a problem with the wink.
Why?
I think you should have cut it.
Really? I think it's great.
Yeah, because when he winks, they draw because, he's offended by you. You don't wink at me. You know what I mean? He's just he's just egging them on, I guess you can say. The whole point of the OK Corral was they weren't there to start the gunfight.
Yeah.
And nobody was drawing. Some conversations haven't been had yet. Doc welcomed that gunfight, and by blinking, he drew for causing the one guy to draw first. So technically, they started the fight.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the point. I don't
think that's supposed to be the point. That's not what happened.
In the original script, apparently that was the whole the point of the story overall, was to say that there's no major differences between the two gangs. They both have their flaws and their good points. Apparently, in the original script, which I haven't read, but aside from all of that, it's a pretty cool wink. You know what I mean? In terms of setting up a gunfight. But yes, I take on board what you're saying.
Yeah, and then Behan runs over, I'm going to arrest these men. And he's like, I don't think you're going to be arresting anybody today.
Yeah.
And Rango wants to go and take them all down, but Curly says, no, we'll do it on our own time. But this is where everything goes to shit. This is whole assassination sequence is wonderful. And the whole sequence when Virgil gets, obviously, his arm removed, which did happen, by the way. That is true. And then Morgan getting shot. This is true as well. So this whole revenge thing did happen.
Can I just say, jump in? Actually, see, whenever Morgan gets it, there's a great touch where Kurt Russell is actually, holding him and stuff, and he basically gets Morgan's blood all over him. Then you just see him looking at his hands, and it's a great touch because it's saying basically that Wyatt Earp, because of this gunfight at the OK Corral and all of this kicking off, he's basically got blood on his hands, and all of this is in a way caused by him. It's an excellent touch during Morgan's death.
Yeah, I actually have that in my notes. His blood on his hands. And this is what revives him to become
a badass,
the madman he might have, or the bastard he once was.
Yeah, Snake Plissken. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got steak now. Too bad he didn't get his eye poked out and he get an eye patch.
Oh, that'd be super cool. Not quite historically accurate, but here, it would have been cool.
I love this whole train state. And during the assassination, I have to mention, in Arizona where they filmed, well, it's called monsoon season. And we all think monsoons, in the Gulf of Mexico and all that crap, and islands, and you know what I mean?
Yes.
But monsoon season is lightning storms, a lot of lightning storms.
Yeah.
And all the lightning that you see in the sequence is real.
Right.
I think that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I must admit, I am no expert on the meteorological weather of Arizona, but I'll take your word for it.
I'm versed in the meteorological field.
Yeah. Hearing the weatherman. Yeah. Frank Mitchell.
It's sunny today.
Yeah.
It's sunny and breezy.
There you go. It's and you might in Arizona. That's in Belfast. In Arizona, you might get monsoons, and lightning.
Only during monsoon season.
Well,
come on, man. Oh my God, is that a stratus cloud over there? Oh my God, his monsoon season's coming.
Yeah.
You didn't know what a stratus was, did you?
No, it didn't. I'm not the weatherman. You're the weatherman, not me. So
it's a type of cloud. It's a type of cloud.
Right. Well,
I don't know I don't know if it's a scary cloud or not.
Well, us regular peasants, like myself, we just call them clouds. But obviously, an expert such as yourself knows the proper scientific terms. So apologies.
I do love when he decides after his death, he tells Curly, I'm leaving. You win. I'm done.
Yeah.
During Morgan's, funeral, as they put him into the train and Virgil's leaving, Morgan's obviously leaving in the box. Sounds horrible. And
exactly.
Then you see they're going to assassinate Virgil, but it's a trap. And Kurt Russell blows the fuck out of one of them. And there's Ike screaming for his life. And he hires Creek Johnson and Texas Jack. I like those two guys from one of the earlier scenes.
Uh-huh.
And Sherman is now on his side. That's the Michael Rooker character.
Yes.
And great line, he just fucking loses it. And he says, I see a red sash, I'll kill the men wearing it. You tell him I'm coming, and hell's coming with me. And he repeats it, and he gets more and more fucking hysterical as he says it. It's so nice. And then we get the nice montage of him killing things.
I think there's actually, I think there's a bit too much editing going on with those montages. I would like to have seen more of the actual gunfights and stuff. It appears to be they've just basically stuffed them all together in these types of montages. So I would have liked to have seen more action, essentially, like we got with the gunfight at the OK Corral. I would say, however, go ahead.
I think it works 100%.
Right.
I mean, now you're right. We could have cut 20 minutes of the romance shit. We got 20 minutes of killing.
Exactly.
But they wanted to be a little more grounded, and you do pepper in the romance for the ladies who like that crap. So
I don't think anybody likes that crap.
Well, no, yeah, but that's what it's for. Period. They're not going to get rid of it. And so, but I think it's beautiful when he screams, and then you just see them going through slaughtering of these guys and blowing them away.
Well, whenever
cut to after that montage, then he cut to the river scene, which is so over the top. I still love it.
But see, the best about it, in real life, apparently that did happen.
No, it didn't. I looked it up. Never happened.
Right. According to what I've read up, the river scene where, I don't know about the setting of it, but apparently Wyatt Earp's killing of Curly Bill, he did actually just walk towards him in front of a hail of bullets, and by pure chance wasn't shot dead and actually killed Curly Bill. I mean, it's just what I've read up on. He walked into a hail of bullets.
No.
And miraculously wasn't killed, and then managed to kill Curly Bill in real life, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but I know the river scene is made up.
Well, it was maybe set somewhere else.
Killed,
yeah.
But it might have been set somewhere else.
Yeah.
There is a funny when Creed goes, "Where's Wyatt?" And after the scene, it's a great death by Curly Bill. Good death.
Yes.
And when Creed asks Doc, "Where's Wyatt?" Probably down by the river. walking on water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Great line.
Well, it
But
is
he
sort
also
of,
says,
yeah.
but what Creed does say to Doc, and these are the moments I kind of like. He goes, Doc, you're sick. You need to get some rest.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, Wyatt Earp is my friend. And Creed goes, Jesus, I've got a lot of friends. And he just says, I don't. I was like, oh.
Well, see, the true emotion of this film is with Doc and not with the romance, the love story with Josephine. The real emotional
It's a
core,
bromance. It's a bromance, really.
Yeah, but the real emotional core is the tragedy of Doc, and beautifully played by Kilmer, outstandingly played, and that to me is the real heart of the film, especially as we're coming towards his death.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think it's both their story. I think it's both their stories, and I do think it's told well. I do think it blends both nicely. We got Wyatt. You kind of get the gist of who Wyatt is, and you get the gist of who Doc was and is. So I do think they handled and blend it well, and I do think their friendship is really well done here.
No, it is done well, and I would say so we're getting sort of the stories of both men, but I just from a personal point of view, I was more invested with Doc and much more likable. To me, the real star here is Val Kilmer. I mean, obviously, I'm a fan of Kurt Russell as well, but just in terms of this film, for me, this is Doc's story, very much.
Wow. So you hate Kurt Russell and Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott and Kurt Russell, and you said Bill Paxton's
No, I
terrible.
hate you
So
for the shit you talk.
Wow. Unreal.
Mr. fucking Weatherman of Arizona,
Wow. Wow. Monsoon season's coming.
Yeah.
Lightning is coming.
Whipping up a storm.
So I do like the setup here. I remember seeing this in the theater. I didn't catch on to it. Doc's dying, and he brings him to Henry Hooker's place, which is played by the great Charlton Heston.
Yes.
Now, this is true. Henry Hooker did exist. He was a cattle rancher, and he was very good friends with Wyatt. So he did take part to help these guys. I don't know if Doc was there, but they were together when this all went down, so I'm assuming he was. So that's kind of cool. That this is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do like the conversation between him and Doc, and he says, I can't beat him, can I? And he just says, no, you can't. So he leaves to go fight Ringo because Ringo wants, take him down.
Yeah.
And I love this scene. This scene is so fucking good. I mean, the look, and again, it goes down to the actors. You got Ringo, and you see in the shadows, here comes, you think, Wyatt. And he goes, wow, you decided to show up. And he's got this evil grin on his face.
But it's Doc.
But the minute he sees it's Doc,
he shits himself.
You can see just in his face that grin quickly goes away.
Yep. It's brilliantly played by Michael Biehn.
Yeah, and he always says, my fight's not with you, Doc. And Doc says, oh, I beg to differ, sir.
Yeah. By the way, can I just at that point, I would just like to say I absolutely loved Kilmer's accent in this. So do that
it's so
Southern gentleman, educated sort of. Yeah, it's great.
And when he shoots him in the head, he's still alive because bullets back then probably weren't as as impactful as they would be now, blowing your head clean off. So he's stumbling and he's trying to find his footing and draw his gun, and he's just can't, and he's taunting him. Come on, draw that gun.
Yep.
It is fucking it's horrific seeing this man die like this, but at the same time, you're like, yeah.
Well, that's it. You're cheering on Doc, 100%, because, he was supposed to, he's supposed to be back in Charlton Heston's house, Dan, but, he makes an appearance anyway for his friend.
And then the death of Doc.
Yep.
Kurt Russell and Val Kilmer, their best scene is right here.
100%.
And the way Kurt Russell tears up and he says he knows he's not going to see his friend anymore. And Val Kilmer, Doc tells him, go see the love of your life. Go see Josephine.
Live your life. Yeah.
Live your life. And this whole thing is Val Kilmer's on a bed of ice during this whole scene.
Yes.
That's how he was shaking and all white. And he said, fuck me. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But it's a great scene. and it showed the actual bond these two really had for each other. Yeah, you see it throughout the film, but this closing dialogue between these two and the goodbye, it's tough to watch.
And you
and
know
when
what?
he leaves, and hold on for a second,
Go
and
ahead.
then when Doc pans up and he looks to see his feet, the cowboy show, he's died with his boots on.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, I'll be," because he's
I'll
not
be
dying with his
damned.
boots on. Yeah, and he dies right there.
They should have ended the film here.
They should have ended the film here. You know what they should have done? Robert Mitchum comes back, narrates, and for the rest of his life, he spent the days with Josephine, which he did. They could have narrated that. I would have been fine. But I didn't need dancing in the streets at the end. I wanted to puke.
Yeah, it's bad. And all of a sudden, it's Christmas and there's snow and all after us being set in the desert in the Wild West, Arizona, during monsoon season, according to the weatherman words.
And aren't they in fucking San Francisco now?
Yeah.
Isn't that where they went?
It really jars. So it does. And it ruins. It doesn't ruin completely, but it does dent the powerful emotional ending with Doc that we've just had. Next thing, they're dancing in the streets, and I'm just like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? This is what am I watching here? It should have just ended up with Doc's death and Wyatt Earp walking out, heartbroken. Not this nonsense.
Yeah, because that was the tale we were told, Doc and him.
Yes.
We didn't need the end of this Josephine crap.
Exactly.
Fucking hell. But
here, and once again, no mention of the fucking drug addicted wife. It's like, fuck her. I'm dancing in the street with my bitch, my side bitch. It's like fuck her. That junkie fucking. I'm the one interested in her. So it doesn't. When you think about it, it doesn't look good on Wyatt,
Yeah, I know. But it's Kurt Russell, man.
Yeah. But I don't know, maybe that's what mainstream audiences, they thought that mainstream audiences wanted, this happy, tied up in a bow ending. But the real emotional ending, the proper emotion, is obviously with Doc and Val Kilmer.
Yeah. Yeah, this is either with some of the camp we talked about, the romance, it's still a fucking great film. I can literally go right back and watch this again. I love all the characters.
Yeah.
And I think it is an eye candy version of what Clint Eastwood would have done.
Yes.
Because what Clint Eastwood did, Clint Eastwood stuff's more grounded.
Yes.
I would like to have seen a take of Clint Eastwood doing this. I mean, he does it kind of with Pale Rider, but I like to see Clint. We're not going to see it now, but I would like to have seen him do Tombstone. See what it would.
Yeah.
But he seems to like to do his own westerns, his own tales.
Yes, exactly.
Based on something, whatever. But
an original story.
Yeah, like Pale Rider is pretty much a remake of Shane.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to have seen his take. But this is a wonderful take. I love this fucking
I think it's very good. Definitely, you can't deny that. But on a personal level, I don't think it's as good as I remembered it being whenever I first watched it years ago. But it is very good. Obviously, the romance stuff should have been cut. And 100 million% Val Kilmer steals the show. He's just superb.
Yeah, him and Michael Biehn steal the show for me.
Yeah.
But that gives the movie even more of a pleasant surprise because then you got Kurt Russell, Sam Elliott, Bill Paxton. The list goes on of other wonderful actors in this.
It's a great cast.
That also do their part. And that's rare in these kind of ensemble kind of films. Mm-hmm. But listen, Val sucks, man. I know you can't hear me, but
rest in peace. Yeah.
Rest in peace, pal. And my condolences, obviously, to his family. That's all I've got. Thanks, guys, for joining us. Hey, the new issue, El Phantasmagoria, is out.
Correct.
It's a special one about Irish horror.
Yes.
And yes, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry Leprechaun is involved in this one. But I do my review of Oddity in it. So go check it out. It's available on locally Forbidden Planet, local stores around the U.S., and, of course, all over the world on Amazon.
And if you're in Belfast over Easter, feel free to join us for a signing event for it in Forbidden Planet Belfast from Good Friday the 18th from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. There'll be people involved in the magazine. They're signing copies. People like Stephen Jones, Moira McHugh, Linda E. Rucker, Malachi Coney, and others. So, Ian McDonald, Joe Zebedee, yep, check it out.
Yeah. I'd be there, but I would be just a distraction for everyone else. And I can't be signing hundreds of thousands of autographs and taking selfies all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
Right. All right, guys. Next up is the Bone Collector. Give us a shout at Citizen Frame _podcast on Instagram and, of course, Facebook. We'll wrap this one up, and we'll see y'all later. Bye.
Darn tootin'.